Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to for Coaches Community second meeting where we explore the coaching practices, explore the coaching as a profession itself. And today we have our guest speaker, Romeo. I will not try to pronounce your full name, but I will ask you to do so because I'm very interested how it sounds really. And Romeo is a PCC level coach. He's very active internationally, and that's actually how we met on LinkedIn. Just expanding, both of us expanding our connections. And we just took time to connect, to chat, to explore where this connection could lead. And it seems that there is interest not only to talk to each other, but to share our experiences and to share where we are in the coaching and where we are in our practice. And Romeo being at the same time internal coach, organizational coach, and also having his own practice outside of organization is a very good example for broader coaching community, how the coaching profession could, reach maximum, evolve. And let's talk about this today. So as much from me, I invite everyone to use chat to introduce yourself, to chat between yourself and ask questions. I will try to include your questions as much as possible into our discussion, not to use prepared question, but more emphasis on things you want to ask Romeo by yourself. And if it will be possible, I will ask, of course, you to turn on your camera, your microphone when asking your question. It will be more dynamic and more valuable to everyone. Yes. Okay. So Romeo, could you please talk a little bit about yourself? Where are you in your coaching journey?
Sure. Good afternoon, morning, good afternoon, good evening, where everyone is. Hello. Greetings from Brazil. I'm calling from Brasilia, the capital. It's wet season here, so might get some rain coming through soon. But thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to talk to fellow coaches. So a little bit about me. A little background, and please feel free to interrupt, ask questions as they said, go off mic and on camera. I'm from New York. I grew up in New York, so I might speak a little too fast. So feel free to just slow me down because I get really excited about coaching. So please feel free to just say, hold on a second, I didn't catch you. So feel free to interrupt. I'm giving you that permission.
Okay.
I'm also born, I was born in the Philippines, and so I have some Filipino background, culture in me, and so I might use some Filipino language. Excuse me. Let's start. I am a PCC coach, as they mentioned. So my last name, I'll pronounce my full name. It's Romeo Imallay III.
Okay.
So the last name is Ymalay. It's from the Malay race. At least that's the literal translation that people have told me. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm going to go with that. Um, and so, as I mentioned, I currently am in Brazil, and it's because of my husband. He is a US diplomat, and so we travel around the world every 3, 4 years, going to different locations, and this is our current location, and we leave sometime in June. I, because of his work, I had to leave my job back in Washington, D.C. I had been working for the DC government in operations, program management, internal consultant, and all that fun stuff. Um, what I realized from my previous jobs and my current job is that it's really about the people for me. Uh, and it's all about what drives me and my purpose. It's about the people. And so I knew that was what I had wanted to do working with people from the get-go. But I didn't really realize in what capacity. And so when I left my job in DC, and I can tell you before that also I was management consultant, I was working for a local politician in New York City. Um, it was all about dealing with people still, right? And my first overseas posting was in Cairo, uh, at the embassy in Cairo. My job there was an HR human resources assistant and a global employment advisor, the term we call for career advisor for fellow spouses like me who travel around the world with our diplomatic spouses or military spouses and may have left our jobs back in the US or are returning to work because they were taking care of their young kids and now that they're grown and they have more time to go back to work. So my job was to help them figure out what the next steps were.
Mm.
I had no clue what I was doing. I was like, I'll be an HR assistant. They're like, well, that also comes with this role as a career advisor. It's like, what does that really mean in the context of the foreign service? Luckily, I received a week-long in-person training with other coaches, advisors. And we call ourselves coaches, advisors, consultants, many terms. Um, and we were helping with people figure out their next steps. And for me, it was more of, okay, but why, right? What was the purpose for this next step? And is it just to get a job? No judgment, right? And so I love learning about people's interests and their goals and their passions, but I also really was more determined to learn more about the why. At some point, there was a hiring freeze. I had to cover a different office, and I got told to go over here and all that. And that office handled morale issues. We're a big mission in Egypt. 350 American officers, 350 family members who accompanied those officers, hiring freeze, a change in government. Um, and when I covered that office, it was a revolving door. Every 30 minutes, people would come in and be like, I don't know if this new administration is in line with my values. Is this where I want to be? Or they would come in and say, oh, I'm really excited with this new administration. Um, I don't know where to take my next steps, right? And so for me, I was like, I did not know that the morale office, well, it's not called the morale office, really handled this type of conversation. All I could do was ask questions. Uh, what makes you say that? What got you excited? What got you sad? What are you thinking about? And maybe every time I had the conversation, someone would say, "Thank you for that question. It made me really think." And then they would come back the next day, just even a little quick thank you. Someone told me, "You should really pursue this full time." And I said, what is this full time? What are you talking about, right? And he's like, well, all this asking the questions, helping us figure out what to do with our lives and all that. I think you should do that. I think it's called life coaching. And I was like, I don't want to be a life coach. I don't want to be responsible for someone's life. And I was like, well, I don't even know what that really entailed. Uh, and they're like, well, you're already doing career coaching and consulting and advising. It's really all encompassing, right? They didn't know what the coach was either. They were just like asking the questions. I'm like, are you coaching me right now? And so it was that type of conversation that got me excited to join the first cohort, leadership coaching cohort at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. Luckily, I knew the program director, and I was like, I have no clue what I want to do in my life. I've been told that I can ask good questions. I don't really know what that means. Um, I just need help figuring it out. It's like, well, let's have a conversation and see if this is a good program for you. It turned out it was. I started the program after leaving Cairo. It was unfortunately during COVID time, so we switched from in-person to virtual, which was actually a blessing because, like you all know, coaching can be done anywhere, anytime, right? So we're not stuck to just in person. There's benefits to both and downside to both. So I got that. And luckily, the program allowed us to test at a PCC level. And my director was like, well, once you graduate, go for the 500 hours. Like, I don't have time for 500 hours. And she's like, do you not have time or are you not making time? I was like, okay, fine. Thanks for that question. And so I went in, dove in. I said, let's do this. I got so excited helping and working with people. At the same time, I was working for the State Department, the U.S. State Department. I was working in our headquarters. I was working on data. I was working on systems, working with contractors. And I said, I'm finding difficulty with working with certain people. How do I go about doing this? And a colleague was like, aren't you a coach? Can you just coach them? I was like, okay, that's easy for you to say. But actually, that makes sense. And I did not want to coach them. Instead, I figured it was best to implement or embed the coaching mindset into our work. Because a lot of our folks in the department don't know what the people overseas do. And the people overseas don't know what the people in the domestic side do. And so there was a huge disconnect. And I was brought in to help bridge that gap. But people on both ends were not listening to me. And I was like, well, I'm just stuck in the middle. And so how do I facilitate this conversation? Because at the end of the day, it's them that need to talk. I'm just in the middle. So then, I started doing that. And so I was invited to join the coaching roster for the State Department. I'm one of 85 coaches now, internal coaches in the department. I work with chief of missions / ambassadors, deputy ambassadors, directors in Washington, D.C., also entry level people who just arrived and are like, what are we getting ourselves into? And middle managers are like, well, we're stuck in the middle. It's like, I know, let's have a conversation. So it's fun, right? And so I'm in the in-between stage. And for me, I use that as an advantage. I love being there because I get to see everything. And then I have my own business as well, right? And so I have a lot happening. And I think I'm doing okay balancing it. But part of this conversation that we're having today is um, how to really maximize our time and effort and our energy to be successful and effective in our coaching. And what does the coaching look like? Do you have to be a coach to implement coaching? The coaching mindset, I mean.
Yeah.
Or can you just embed it and help people think it through as not necessarily a certified coach, trained coach, but think it through in a way of curiosity versus I know what I'm doing. Right? And we're all told a lot of times we need to pretend what we're doing. As a former consultant, I've been told pretend you know what you're doing and then go back and just do research afterwards and then come back and like, yeah, I told you I knew what I was doing. Okay, there's a time and place for that. I agree. And so for me, that's where I am at the moment is having this middle ground and how to use this center to help others have a conversation, connect people, or just simply be effective and successful in their own roles wherever they are, whether inside the government where I am right now or outside, like my colleagues in the private sector or my clients in the private sector. They don't interact with my colleagues in the public sector, but similar dilemmas. And so it makes me excited still.
Yeah.
Long answer short, this is where I am at the moment.
Thank you, Romeo. It's very impressive journey you are having here, and you mentioned that you have personal practice together with your inside organizational work as a coach. But what brought you to that idea to have both, not to stick to one path?
Yeah, that's funny. As I mentioned, as a diplomatic spouse, we travel around the world so often to not necessarily based on where we want to go most times, right? It's based on where our spouses get assigned. Uh, and many times we have to leave our jobs because we can't bring them to the next country, right? The country may have restrictive rules. I was not able in Mozambique. I was not able to work in the local economy. They could not give me a work permit, and so I could not provide coaching to Mozambicans, and even in Egypt, there was no bilateral work agreement between our two countries, and so I could not work with Egyptians. Now, I could have focused more on just coaching outside, but I was still starting my business, and so um, one, I needed the money. Like to be frank about it, right? Um, I needed the money for myself. I did not want to rely on my husband necessarily on the financials. I had my own student loans. I did not want him to be responsible for having to pay for things that happened before we even met. Um, and so I wanted to also feel the independence uh, to do what I needed to do. And so I worked at the department because one, I needed stability in a way, financial stability and career stability, and I figured that might give me some direction. Two, I wanted an outlet as well to be able to coach internal and external clients where internal, I know what's happening. I have an understanding of our processes, our issues. Um, but there are times when you get too invested in it and you know too much about what's going on that sometimes I have to stop myself and say, I kind of know what the answer is because I just dealt with it last week, but I don't want to tell them that answer because this is their journey, right? It's their situation. It totally might be different because they're dealing with different people. And so I needed that outlet as well of being able to grow as a coach, learning about other industries, learning about other folks in the private sector, nonprofit sector, um, and expand my reach, and not just within the government. I also wanted to explore where I can take this coaching career per se, right? And so that's really where how I decided that I needed both. One, the financial stability at this point, and two, the opportunity to expand and see what else is out there and who else is out there that I can support.
Yeah. Thank you for this answer. And just to cover a little bit in depth the internal coaching part, because it's
Yeah.
quite usual that these kinds of events talk about the business part, and coaching outside and business part, but this internal part, and there are a lot of coaches who work internally. So
Yeah.
how do you manage that? What does it mean to be internal coach in the large organization? I understand that 85 coaches, if I remember correctly. So there are a lot of people you coach day by day. So
Yeah.
how does it look?
Funny. So 85 is not that many for our department, right? We're a huge agency. We had gotten down a bit because of recent reorganization that happened this past July. And so our numbers are shrinking a bit, but we're also hiring, which is an interesting dynamic. And so our mandate has been as coaches is to focus on 7 or 8 leadership qualities that have been defined by the agency.
Mm.
And so for those who want to participate in the coaching program, they're asked to identify where they want to grow based on these leadership qualities. What would they like to be coached on as it relates to these leadership qualities, right? And so it's a bit, I wouldn't say restrictive, but there's a structure in place for them to play around with. And with coaching, there's so many that we can discuss and help our clients with. And so I work with I limit myself, and I know myself that I can't do more than 3 individual coaches, clients,
Mhm.
coaching session. It's about 10 sessions, up to 10 sessions within 6 months. So it's very compressed and fast paced in a way, And knowing how we operate, it's also many times we ask for extensions because people are on leave or people have other priorities in place that they just can't avoid. And so it's a juggling act of dealing with the internal policies and process. But luckily, we have a program that allows us to be flexible and have this conversation. And we have a community practice of the coaches as well. So we, have this Teams channel, and we are all just chatting, asking questions, and supporting each other. But many can only do one, depending on where they are in their positions. Many, our deputy chief of mission, our deputy ambassador, she's also a coach, working towards her credentials. I know others at her level around the world also trying to get their credentials, but they're in a very busy position. And so they may not be able to get more than one or two, right, in the span of 6 months. And so it's a juggling act that I had to know for myself what I can do, how effective I can be. And so I decided that 3 was my maximum for now, and I can always adjust if I need to. And in addition to that, I'm also mentor coaching. I have 5 coaches that I'm mentoring as they move towards their ACC credentialing. And so knowing that I have those and I have the 3 plus my day job, right? It's all balancing my calendar, and my calendar is based on my energy, right? What can I really do within the work hours? Because really, our coaching has to be done within the working hours.
Yeah.
Plus, balancing my private clients as well. And so it's really my energy, and so my energy is reflected on my calendar. If my day is not available, it's because I can't do it that day. I blocked off that day for any coaching. I just can't, right? And maybe there are 2 days that I blocked off. I think Thursday and Fridays. And so that's really where I can have more influence in my time, is knowing my energy, knowing reflecting that on my calendar, and then balancing out the types of clients that I would like as well. So yeah, it's fun. I would say that's the word I would say. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun is a good word. It's
Yeah.
very important to have fun at what you're doing. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Romeo. And before opening to some questions, we have a couple questions from community, from our Hub of Coaches community on Skull platform. But here I see a couple of remarks from the participants that Anne is saying, hello, Romeo. Anne is here, based in SA, London, UK, and fellow Kababayan. Kamusta?
Hello, ¿cómo está?
Hi, Romeo. Hi, kumusta? It's really nice to see a fellow Filipino coach. I've not yet come across one as a new coach myself.
Fantastic. There's a lot in the Philippines. I have to reconnect with them, but
Okay.
But yeah, it's great. Nice to see you. Nice to connect here.
You too, and thank you for your opening. That was really useful and interesting to hear your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for joining. And let's use this opportunity also to connect. So we'll have links to our profiles and descriptions of the video. So feel free to explore this connection further. Yeah, thank you very much.
Definitely.
Okay, I'm not seeing right now questions from the community yet. Here, I mean, in the chat. Feel free to post them here. I will include them in the communication. But from the inside of the community, there's a question from Vaida Dunchute, and I would like to ask if you could voice it, if it's possible for you.
Hi, everybody. Hello, Romeo. Thank you for your inspiring journey. All right. And before I got to know it, right, I kind of was thinking how basically you answered it, right? So how do you manage your private business and your you being at an organization as internal coach? So I kind of got that answer, right? But also wondering, have you ever thought that if directing your power to only one of them would be more powerful, like, dedicating the time and going full in?
Yeah, very great question. I am in that, I guess, the juncture right now of deciding to go all in or not. I'm actually, because of where we're going to go by June, I will most likely go jump in and full into the coaching. I think what really helped me, so a little bit background of my coaching. I'm a values-based coach, and so when I work with my clients, we do an assessment, a values assessment, and just figure out, or at least help uncover and reconnect with their values, right? What's really important to them at this moment in their lives, right? And it could change in the next 6 to 12 months, but for now, let's see where we are and just figure that out and have a discussion. For me, I've done the assessment a few times. My foundation has always been that it's the safety net, right? And so, as I mentioned to you before, financially, I needed to feel that I'm stable, that I can move forward with my coaching practice without having to rely on another form of income. I've explored other ways, different streams and all that, but for now, the internal work has been a good, and it's good pay, right? It's good pay. And it has allowed me to then say, okay, now I'm stable enough that I can pursue coaching privately, full time, and explore that full time, and not having to worry about working at the department, not having to worry about being an internal coach for the department. Now it'd be just one-way track, and I can focus more on that. And so that's where my direction is at the moment, is building my practice more, getting myself out there more, right? The marketing of coaching is really doing things like this, is talking to other coaches, putting our names out there, showing our worth out there. I'm not a salesperson, right? I'm not a marketing person, but what I've learned as a coach is you talk about your work by showing your work, right? And so, I've had clients talk about their right testimonials about our work, right? And it's the best thing is really for your clients who are willing to do so, to talk about you, to talk about the outcomes after your coaching engagement. So I'm using that as my push to move forward with this private practice and see where it leads me. Now, I'm not closing anything necessarily, but like you said, it may be where the most impact is now this other direction versus being the internal coach for me specifically.
Thank you. Just a quick question. How long it took you to go from, let's say, first paid client to now, and when you are ready or you feel financially stable to give up that job in the organization, right? How long it took the journey when you are ready to separate it, when you are ready to go alone?
For me, it was spurts, because my internal job was not consistent either, right? And there's always breaks in my internal job, because every time we move, I had to apply for another job and not sure if I'm really going to get that job. And luckily, I've been able to sell myself that way, right? That I am deserving of this position, that I can contribute well. So what I've been doing is looking at my finances and see, okay, at this point, this is my business finance, this is where things are going, this is where I can save. So it's really looking a lot of the numbers where I can say I'm good, right? Having saved up a lot for this particular aspect of, if this private practice doesn't go well, I still have some money that I can rely on. right? As a foundation, as a capital for this particular practice. I'm also not a business coach and business advisor. So I'm just doing this as my own. So I'm just sharing my own personal experience. So caveat that I'm not telling you what to do for yourself. But for me, it was really looking at the numbers and where I can say, I'm confident moving forward that I'm going to pursue this. And see how it goes. And I'm giving myself, 6 to 12 months, what that looks like. If it feels like I'm moving in the right direction. So yeah, I would say that took about 2 to 3 years for me to say I'm ready to do it. I would say that I could always extend that and say I'm ready to do it next year. No, I'll be ready in 2 years. But there is a point now that it's forcing me to make a decision, which is great because otherwise I would have been like, well, I can hold off a little bit. I'm comfortable over here on the side. I just keep doing this as a side gig. It's fine. It's just a hobby.
Mm.
But yeah.
Yeah, moving
That's where I am.
outside the comfort zone. Yeah.
Thank you, Romeo.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vaida. Thank you, Romeo.
Appreciate.
And I see that in chat we are warming up, so it's very well. I will not use my pre-made questions, yeah, so we'll have this discussion here. And I see Daniela is thanking you, and she's also accompanying spouse of diplomat, so very much can relate to your situation. And she has a question. So Daniela, I see your camera is on, so maybe you could also voice your question.
Yeah, no problem. Labas, ačiū. Yeah, thank you, Romeo. I'm a spouse of a World Bank diplomat, so I can totally relate to your story and your struggles and your journey. Now, my question was, as an internal coach, how do you balance the needs or objectives of the organization versus the needs or the goals of your coachees?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a great question. And I'm glad that, are you an internal coach for the World Bank?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Yet.
I know the program manager of the program, hopefully it'll continue, but funding and all that stuff. Great question, balancing those dynamics, right, between the organization and the coachee's values. I would say it's not on you to balance, it's on the client to figure out if one, they want to balance it, right? Is that their goal? Do they align with the organization's values and operating principles? And then for you, as a coach, to help them by asking the questions, figure out for themselves whether this is a right fit for them. And they can say maybe it's a right fit for now, but maybe it's not long term. They could also say it's definitely not a right fit, but I'm scared to jump out of this current role. They could also say it's a perfect fit, but then for you as a coach, right? You also have to figure out, is this the type of client you want to work with? Is this the type of organization that you want to work with? It's a lot of figuring out for yourself who is your audience and who are your target clients. And many of us are still figuring that out. But it's all about just testing it and experimenting. I realized for myself that I've not niched myself to a particular client. It's if I'm interested in having the conversation with them. Are you an interesting person to me? And it's really after our first intro call, it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to work with you. But I may know someone who is a good fit for you, right? I also have to gauge if they're interested in coaching and open to coaching versus I feel like I need coaching. There's a difference there, right? Like, do I need it or do I want it? And for you as a coach, do you want to coach or do you need to coach this person? We're not here to solve people's problems. We're here to help them identify for themselves what the answer is for their dilemmas, right? And those are the questions. And so balancing those two, it's not on us to figure out your coachee and the organization how they can balance it. It's on us Is this the type of coaching I want to do? Is this the type of client I want to work with? And if it is, what type of questions would benefit this client to help them realize or answer for themselves? Is there a disconnect? How can they resolve this disconnect? Is it solvable? Can they resolve it for themselves? And if not, what did they want to do with it, right? All we can really do is be there for their journey and call them out if they're not being forthright and honest about it, right? And that's the building the relationship that, the ICF has told us, creating that relationship first. Because at this point, after I've had relationships where my clients were like, okay, are you lying to me right now? And right, I'm like, honest, like, that doesn't sound like a true statement to me. And they're like, yeah, I just said it. And it's like, okay, yeah, I heard it. Why did you say that? Right. And so it's having those kind of conversations and holding people accountable, and being honest. So
Thank you.
it's not on us to help balance it. It's then figure out, can they balance it for themselves?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela. Thank you. And Maria also has a question, and thank you, Maria, for managing the chat a little bit. So could you also voice yours?
I'm so sorry. I was in a rush and I had to eat quickly.
No, it's okay. Keep eating. I'm drinking my coffee.
Okay.
Well, yeah, everyone, let's take a
Yeah.
sip. Yeah.
Thanks, Romeo, for coming here and talking to us, first of all. Second, I would love to be an internal coach. And I'm trying to imagine the situation where I'm applying for a position and I'm coming to the interview. So what kind of qualities or behaviors should I show off to the interviewee to see that I could be a good fit?
Yeah, great question. If you don't mind, I put my career advising hat on.
Yes, please.
The first thing to think through is, who is this organization? What do they do? What are their goals? What are their priorities, right? Are they in line with my own priorities and goals and values? Great. Where are they moving towards in the next 5, 10 years? Do your research, right? They will have a lot of documents if they're big organizations, released to the public. So you can easily find them on their website about what direction they want to go to. And it may be not as explicit. It may just be they wrote an article about AI. Read it. Maybe there's some hints there about what it means, what AI means for this company. And so it's a lot of research that we need to use AI to do the research as well, right? Like, hey, interested in this organization, what are the key things I need to know about them, right? And then if they release a vacancy announcement for an internal coach or whatever position it is, definitely peruse that vacancy announcement. Look at what they're asking for, right? And not just for the requirements of what it means to be an internal coach or for this position. They will have about this organization. They will have about what this position will do for this organization. Do you fit those? Have you done those? Can you talk about previous experiences where maybe it's tangentially related to the work? May not be exact one-to-one, but can still be aligned with what they're looking for, right? And then ask yourself, okay, now I know all of this. What else am I missing, right? What else are they looking for that I can contribute? Look at their projects. A lot of them are going to be online, what direction they're moving forward. Where are the potentials that you can say, there's a gap missing there, or there's a potential gap missing there. Maybe there isn't a gap, but there's a potential gap there, right? And so how do you set yourself aside, apart from other candidates, is that by going in there and having this conversation, say, I see that you guys are doing this project, fantastic. What's been the biggest challenge for your employees about it? right? You know, when I talk to companies, I'd ask, okay, so how are you providing your professional development? You know, I'm really interested about how people are growing within the organization. Can you talk to me about that, right? Because at the end of the day, at the end of the question interview, they're going to ask you, do you have any questions for us, right? Those are the things that you want to ask. Show them that you've done your research about this company. The questions that they're going to ask you are most likely going to be very generic behavioral questions, right? Have you done these things? When was a time? I would say most of the questions are going to be like that. Not 100%, but I would say 80 to 85%. The others may be more specific about their particular industry and how you have worked in that industry in the past, possibly questions. So just being prepared about how to message your work that leads to providing the support that they're looking for. A lot of the vacancy announcements are generic also, right? Like, I don't really know what this means, right? Like providing support to senior leaders. What does that mean? What are they looking for, right? And so again, it helps if you do your research about what projects and what direction they're moving towards. Are they at the 5-year mark? Are they at the 10-year mark? Are they celebrating 30 years as an organization? Blah, blah, blah. What does that look like? And then you can see where you can embed the coaching in there. And if they're already doing coaching work, great. Okay, what about coaching that's exciting for them? You know, what made them want to have this internal coach position? So finding that answer is really a lot about the detective work at this point, is figure out what they're looking for. And it's reading through the lines a lot of times.
Thank you, Romeo. That's pretty helpful. Yeah.
Okay. Now putting that hat back out.
Yes. Thank you.
Sure. Who else has a question? I think Penny has her hand up.
Hi. I'm currently coaching at in my workplace, and I was curious about what you said about balance, like, because sometimes I find it quite difficult to fit in coaching, around my main job. And so mostly I try to coach when I'm working from home, because that, if I'm in the office, it can be difficult. And I try not to, my own kind of personal rule is not to coach before 10 o'clock, because I'm not a morning person. But I wondered how you manage, because I think you said that you coach on certain days. Like, how does it work for you?
Yeah, so my primary is my day job, right? And so I have to make sure that I actually get my job done. That's the one that's paying me the most. And it's also the one that allows me to be an internal coach. My internal coaching is all volunteer work, right? So I don't get paid extra for it, as you are nodding. And so in order to become an internal coach, I need to be good at my job, right? And so I look at my calendar and say, okay, where are my meetings? So I make sure to set up my weekly meetings or bi-weekly, bi-monthly meetings. And then I look at, okay, potentially there's a big thing that's happening now. I need to block off some time for this week or for this week and all that stuff. So it's a lot of managing the calendar. And I hate that I have to manage the calendar, but I want to manage my calendar because I know my energy, right? Where if I say I have a big meeting at 10 o'clock, I may not be able to coach you that day at all because I might be drained. Or I might just have next steps after that big meeting that I need to follow up on. And so I want to block off that calendar for any coaching services, and I just focus more on my other job, right? So it's just knowing for yourself where your energy is and where you can be more effective as a coach. Like you said, 10 o'clock, that's the time that you can really coach, or after 10 o'clock, because beforehand, you can't, right? For me, I'm not a morning person either, but I have clients who are on the other side of the world that I need to be a little bit earlier certain times. So I have my coffee, I wake up a little earlier, I go to the gym, get the energy, and also that helps with deconflicting my time with work related things, my day job work, right? Um, it is a lot of managing. Some people think it's too much. For me right now, I'm able to manage it okay. I would love to have a special assistant to do this work, but I don't, and I can't because my job internally, I can't link that calendar with my personal and private job, right? So I have to like look at two calendars. And so being intentional about when to do that as well, right? I have an admin hour or admin 30 minutes every afternoon, and I review my calendar and just say, okay, how do I prepare myself for the next day? And for maybe adjust things for the next week or month, right? So I just look at that and be more intentional about it. And it becomes less stressful because I know by 4:30, I need to review everything for the next day. Unless I'm pulled into another meeting and that just throws my schedule away. But it usually does not happen. I'm very intentional about it, and it helps with keeping me sane, to sort of say, and knowing that I have given myself permission to block off everything else so I can focus on myself, right? So by focusing on myself, focusing on my calendar, focusing on my energy, focusing on my time, and anything after 6 o'clock, it's all for my family, right? Nothing else.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Candy.
much. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I see Anne is raising her hand, and we have still a couple of questions in the chat. So, Anne, what is your question? And we'll return to the chat.
Sure, thank you. Hi, Romeo. I was quite happy to hear you say that you don't niche and you decide based on whether you find someone interesting or whether you want to if they want to be coached. So I want to get to that as well, because as a new coach, and I'm currently not working, and you also talked about, your financial stability. I'm in this conjuncture also. Do I go all in with the coaching, or do I just leave it because I don't have the financial runway to last me much longer when I'm finding clients? And all the gurus out there, they say you've got to niche because it helps with your marketing. And if you're too generic, you're not speaking to anyone's specific pain points. So therefore, how are you going to find your clients? So on the one hand, I understand niching. I've come from the corporate background. I understand you have to talk to people's pain points and their solutions and not be too generic. But at the same time, whilst I think about my lived experience, I think, okay, well, I'm a Filipino second generation who's worked in corporate, struggled with corporate politics. Maybe that's my niche. That's what I really love. But actually, I'm still a new coach. I don't know yet. I might find I'd like to coach men on a weight loss journey. I don't know. So how do I balance? And I'm finding myself overthinking my niche. I'm not putting my energy into coaching and honing my skills because I'm thinking, what's my bloody niche? Is it Filipino women?
Yeah.
Is it women of color? Is it ADHD? Is it corporate women? Is it people in tech? I'm just constantly overthinking.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm desperate to coach. I'm desperate to make money, and so I'm busy not coaching because I'm too busy trying to think about my niche. And do I go back to work? Do I give this up? So what advice can you give?
Yeah. Great question. Thank you for that. And, niching is, I think it's just a word that's just been overblown, and it's really based on what we want to do. For me, right? That's my personal interpretation of it. I would encourage us all to get out of our heads, right? And come back to our hearts, right? And to experiment. Just do it. So you said, you're this Filipino American private sector, and all these things. Put it out there, right? This is who I am. Looking for folks who are interested in having these conversations about struggles working in the private sector. Who like to have this conversation with me, offering a free service right now, right? Get your name out there. And by doing so, you get to practice and you get to experience, is this really where I want to be? Is this the area where I want to be? Now, I would say many times we can be in multiple areas, right? But there might be a core thing in there. And what is that core thing for you? We don't know yet, right? Like for me, the core thing is that I want people to feel like they can contribute to their society, to their communities, and whatever that community looks like, right? And so when I find someone interesting, it's someone who's thinking about their families, or thinking about their communities, or thinking about someone else, and say, I'm worried if I do this, it's going to impact this way to others. Okay, that's interesting to me. Whether that's in the private sector, government sector, whether they're men, women, there's something about that, about their concern for others, to me, that got me excited. And so I would say that took a long time for me to realize that was one of the core things that really got me to say this person is interesting to me. And so for you, maybe it's you have multiple topics. And then within that topic, it may be the type of person or client you want to work with. Test it out. Don't wait. Get out of your head, right? And just put it out there. Let's get out of our websites. Let's get out of our LinkedIn and just put it out there, right? Oh, I need to structure it this way. No, you don't, right? Who told you you had to structure it this way? Oh, the gurus. Okay, fine. But does it work for you as a coach? So just do it. If you're new at coaching, coach. Find another coach to peer practice, peer coach each other, right? Because then you can say, at the last 10 minutes, last 5 minutes, can you provide me feedback on how that went? Right? And I would say just, my coaches did this to me as I was going through the program. Just do it. Make some mistakes. That's how we learn where we want to take our coaching journey. Make some wins and highlight those, right? And then you can slowly tweak into all of our coaches who are successful have tweaked their coaching experience or journeys many times. We don't have to be perfect now. We don't have to be perfect ever. We just have to be good at what we do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Romeo. I hope we don't have gurus here in our audience, because we could jump in with objections. But yeah, thank you for your view on this. And I see a couple more questions, but also I see our time, so I will shorten a little bit those next questions. So Sugatha asks a similar question to Maria regarding the internal coach and what companies are looking for. So that was covered more or less, but does adding more courses or like organizational coaching or coaching, team coaching matters in the decision employ you or not as an internal coach, in your opinion?
I would say it may. It also, if they're looking at it in their vacancy announcements, the types of qualifications, the type of education, then it would definitely does. If they say preferred but not required, it can still help. If you've had the experience, you can talk a lot about your previous experience. That may cover it, right? And so it just really depends on what they're looking for in their vacancy announcement. They might not be clear about it in their vacancy announcements as well. Sometimes they said preferred, but so someone else might have that background or that experience and education, and you don't, and so they go with that person. That's just the reality. But if you have the experience, any of the background, and you've been doing it, talk more about it. If you want to get more training, go for it, right? It's the world's an oyster. Figure out what makes more sense for you financially, time-wise, and all that, if you really want to invest in all that time to get that formal training, additional formal training. sometimes it helps. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, and bringing us to the close, I think that Gin's question is perfect for that. So could you please voice it, and we'll be closing our meeting.
Yeah, hello, Romeo. Yeah, hearing your story, it was also I could quite relate to it because I have also primarily worked as an internal coach. Majority of my kind of experience is there. But the question that I had for you is, what are your coaching dreams, your coaching goals? Where do you want to develop? One thing you mentioned already is that you would like to try your individual kind of, I don't know how to practice, right? But in terms of development, you know, they typically at job interviews, they've asked, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What would be your answer?
I would say I hate that question. You know, it's fascinating time for me because again, I'm leaving my position this June and figure out how to grow my practice. My goal for my practice, or at least myself, is to be impactful in many ways through coaching. I'm not closing myself off from working internally for organizations in the future. And so for now, I'm exploring opportunities where I can use my coaching skills, use my culture transformation consulting skills, embedding both and seeing how I can support people and organizations. And so really for me at this point is I am deciding how to message myself moving forward as this coach consultant, and targeting specific organizations and clients who do good for their community. And so I can't say what my 5-10 years would look like. I mean, I'm like, I want to be a multi-millionaire coach. But do I want to? That seems so much pressure, right? I want to do good. I want to do good by supporting people who are doing good things. And wherever that leads me, right? And so my conversations with people is, okay, do you want to, not do you want to hire me, but what are you doing and how can I support you? Right? And so like thinking in the back of my mind is, how do I help others? And how do I support others? Because at the end of the day, I'm also supporting myself. It may sound selfish, right? Like, oh, I know everything, I can support you. No, I don't. It also tells me where I'm lacking in skill set that I still need to work on. And so I don't mean to be a fully well-rounded coach, because no one can be, but it may be in a specific area that I want to be. So that's where I want to take my coaching, is to help people do good things, and feel good about it. Right?
Yeah, it's very inspiring. Thank you, Roman. Thank you.
Thank you.
And closing us up, I see that colleagues are hard at work promoting the community already in the chat, so I will not spend much time on this. You can find us on school platform, Hub for Coaches. Welcome to carry on the discussion, because Romeo also is there, so you can chat with him, discuss with him also all the questions you are asking here, continuation of them. But Romeo, where to find you if people want to connect? Of course, if you want to be found.
Well, too late for that. I am on LinkedIn, and so feel free to reach out to me there. I forget what my thing is. We can put it in the chat.
Yeah,
feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I also have my website, which I'm trying to revamp soon when I have time. www.romeoimallay.com. And yeah, feel free to reach out. Let's have this conversation. I would encourage everyone to keep this community practice going, build relationships. We are not competing against each other as coaches. We are working together as coaches. There's a lot of opportunities out there where we can work individual clients, individual organizations, but there are also lots of opportunities where we can work together on certain things because we're not experts in everything.
Yes, yes. There's truly no competition between coaches. That's for sure. We can do much more together. So
Yes.
let's build those connections.
Certainly.
Exactly.
Certainly.
Okay, and for those
Thank you.
watching on YouTube, we always appreciate your like, your share. So let's spread the word, let's spread the knowledge and experience. And thank you for that, for watching. And Romeo, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking your time, for giving us this gift of knowledge of your experience. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone for joining. Yeah, this was great. Thank you for your questions.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you
Thank you.
everyone for coming. Yeah, let's do this again.
Definitely. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you everyone. See you soon.
Bye.